We're live. That's the wrong picture. Never mind. Hello. We're live. Go for it.
Oh, we're live. Oh, hello. All right. Hello. You're listening to the Goggler podcast. Ian, Bahir, and Uma with you. This week, we're going to be talking about two brand new releases, Red Notice on Netflix, and of course, Marvel's Eternals. We finally get to chat about the film. But first, as always, we've got some news to talk about. This one kind of took, me and Bahir by surprise because we were fans of the TV show on Disney Plus. It's about the Mighty Ducks, and they released a new series based on the original movies called Game Changers, and they got Emilio Estevez back as Gordon Bombay. And then the Hollywood Reporter is saying that he's not coming back due to ABC's vaccination requirements. It's a very vague article that says that he doesn't want to confirm that he's okay with their vaccination requirements because it requires everyone in this zone A, which means
zone
all the big stars. Double
zone
vax,
A
right?
zone A is the actors and the crew members that will be interacting with the actors.
Yeah, and I think
so makeup, sound guy, camera people, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I think there's a more in-depth article on Deadline which says that they've been going back and forth on this for weeks, and that's obviously fishy as hell because you know it's like, hey everybody, you vaccinated? Yeah, you vaccinated? Yeah, you vaccinated? What do you mean you'll get back to us next week? What are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
The reason I find it weird is because in the lead up to the launch of the first show, there was all this discussion, interviews, even with Estevez himself, going on about how, the only reason we were doing it over COVID was to make sure everyone was safe and la 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 la. So I didn't think he was like an anti-vaxxer. So
well, I think
he's an actor. He's an actor. He was acting, Uma. You fell for his wily tricks again.
But it's also coming down to this argument of like, are they anti-vaxxers or are they just wanting more information, i.e. the Letitia Wright argument? And look, I'm completely fine with lumping them all together as anti-vaxxers, and I think anti-vaxxers should go on an island, as per what's his name said. But look, honestly, I'm surprised. I really enjoyed seeing Gordon Bombay back with the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah.
But you know what? I like the Mighty Ducks better. So if he doesn't want to be in season 2, thanks and goodbye. You know?
They are going to write him out, apparently.
So he was an integral part of the show, but not not essential, I would say, in the sense that his story arc was going somewhere with Lon Graham's character, but at the same time, the show is not about him. And I think we already got what we wanted from season 1 when they had that small reunion episode, and I was done after that with regard to the old Mighty Ducks. I'm like, all right, let's go on with this new story now. Like, they got as many of them back as they possibly could. And they paid homage. They had a little bit. It was all very touching and emotional.
Did Daredevil's friend turn up? He's in the Mighty Ducks, wasn't he? Daredevil's...
Which one?
What's his best mate? Daredevil's best mate.
The lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
Aussie,
was he
Wally,
there? Yes, he was.
Poppy,
He
Hoagie.
was.
He has a Y name, right? He was there?
Yeah. He was there. Only Joshua Jackson wasn't there.
I did see some tweets this morning saying, actually, I don't care if Estevez goes back because this leaves the door open to Joshua Jackson coming in.
Oh, that's true.
Correct.
I mean,
either that or they bring back Charlie Sheen.
Charlie
He
Sheen
was in
the Mighty Ducks?
D3.
Was he?
Yeah. He stepped in when Estevez stepped out.
I think I'd rather see Joshua Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they did bring him up during that episode and sort of like they brought up the character and what he was doing and all that. But so he's in universe, he isn't dead, you know. So they could always do that. Which I don't know. I mean, I'm again like I think I sort of echo Uma in that I'm disappointed that Estevez is not going to be in season 2, potentially not going to be in season 2. But you know what? He's not. Oh crap! What's his name? What is the coach's name from Big Shots? I'm blanking on it.
Oh, Stamos.
Stamos. He's not as big a character as Stamos is in his show. So I think.
Yeah.
What's Big Shots? I missed this entirely.
So Big Shots is another Disney Plus show
yeah.
about basketball where Stamos is
women's basketball.
He's a college ball coach with rage issues, who finally gets cancelled essentially when he starts throwing chairs at people during a match, and then he ends up having to coach high school women's basketball, and yet another fantastic show on Disney Plus, which we really love. It's basically the kind of show where I sit down on Saturday morning while I'm having breakfast and watching. Yeah.
I mean,
but
it's better than what I do now for Saturday morning breakfast, which is to watch the morning show on Apple TV, which is
great,
which is
but
very
depressing.
good, but it's not great Saturday morning breakfast watching.
No, but I have to say, like, so far the Disney Plus reboots have not disappointed. Game Changers has been really good, and Doogie Kame Aloha has been also
it's also very good.
Yeah, it's just like sweet, touching, wholesome family. Yeah. And Jason Scott Lee, man, guy's a legend.
He's great.
He is a legend.
Yeah.
And have you ever seen him skateboard? He's insane.
Oh no, I haven't.
No, I don't know that one.
I think it's am I thinking of I'm thinking of Jason Lee, not Jason Scott Lee.
Oh, Jason Lee is also a legend.
Yeah, it's not Jason. Yeah, but Jason Scott Lee, different guy. Yeah.
Although all he does now is just whenever Kevin Smith wakes up and decides to do a movie.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see what happens with Mighty Ducks Game Changers. We don't know if it's a done deal or whether it's just agents and people playing hard to get managers.
But it's also was it an NFL player or an NBA player who had a weird NFL player who hadn't been unclear, and it turns out he hadn't been vaxxed at all. And it's like that should be a criminal offense. You're putting your teammates at risk, you jackass.
Yeah,
this is Aaron fucking Rodgers, right?
Yes,
Aaron
that's
fucking
it.
Rodgers. Yeah.
Oh, mate. Not only is he an idiot who hasn't been vaxxed, but I've done my research and I've consulted with Joe Rogan. Really?
Red flags.
But here's the thing. I think so. They're sort of it's very interesting in that because the NFL is very much a we'll let the teams decide situation, whereas the NBA I believe is more just like, no, you haven't been vaxxed, you're not playing at all. So I think a couple of big players have essentially had to sit out the season because they don't want to get vaxxed, and
fuck them.
The NBA is just like, fuck them, let's move on, which is great. I think that's sort of the stance most. And I mean, the irony was that, like, someone was saying, one of the NBA commentators was saying, or on Twitter was saying how it's weird that up to that point, NBA players can go to stadiums to play the game, but fans cannot go. Unvaxxed fans cannot go. So they're like, no, you can't.
Right?
Yeah, it's like straight.
What was it? What was it that Roy Kent said? I hope he dies of the incurable disease of being a little bitch.
I think, but they need to take more pointers from Uniqlo. As I was walking around there earlier, they were like, over the voice over Tannoy system, please, wearing a mask is mandatory. It's like, that's just it. That's just make it the rule.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but if you haven't seen the Mighty Ducks Game Changers, check it out. Good show. We've also got a review on the site, so you can go check it out there as well. All right, another piece of interesting news with John M Chu. He's, of course, the man responsible for Crazy Rich Asians and more recently in The Heights. He has his Glinda and Elphaba for Wicked the movie, and it's going to be Ariana Grande as Glinda, and who was it who's playing Elphaba? The Oscar winner.
Priorities. You don't remember?
Wait. No, she was Oscar nominated, right? Did she win this year?
I think let's get her name first before we decide what her trophy situation is like.
Cynthia Erivo.
Cynthia Erivo.
Erivo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cynthia Erivo. Yeah. And have you guys seen the stage production of Wicked?
No, I didn't get a chance.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's excellent.
No, wait, hang on. Did I? I think I did.
The stage production where?
In the UK or wherever. I think it was in the US and UK.
I
don't think it ever came to Malaysia. I think it did go to Singapore at some point.
Yeah.
But no, stage production is excellent. And so Wicked, if you don't know, is this retelling of The Wizard of Oz from the point of view of the Wicked Witch. Yeah, it's kind of prequel. Yeah. No, but it's also a reimagining of the Wicked Witch, right?
Yes.
The Wizard of Oz, it's not easy being green.
Pretty much. That
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And before you roll your eyes, because we've now seen hundreds of different versions of reimagining things from the point of view of the bad guy. This one like kind of did it first and did it best. Like it's really
it's
very,
also
very
way
good.
better. It's also way better than that Franco Oz one.
Yeah,
Oh,
the James
God,
Franco
yes.
was the
Yeah.
great,
I
powerful.
forgot that exists.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. There it is. Yeah. I mean, I've read the book. I read the book when it first came out. So my memory is fuzzy as
The Wicked book.
everything else is. Yeah. I mean, I'm a great fan of the original movie, and I think when the book was released, I kind of jumped on that. But it is quite interesting. I think reimagining is a good way of putting it because it also shows you why she's that woman. How she ends up being the Wicked Witch of the West. I think so.
Yes.
It's a really interesting sort of prequel storytelling, and actually Glenda is not really all that nice, you know. So it's a really interesting look behind that curtain. Hey.
Yeah, and also the resolution of the actual plot was very, very interesting because how their relationship kind of plays out in the end is very, very clever. But they got big shoes to fill because the original Elphaba was Idina Menzel and the original Glinda was Kristen Chenoweth. So, I don't know.
But
Ariana Grande can sing, but can she act? That is the question.
But it was. I mean, it was long ago enough that I don't think people who've seen the stage play will be able to compare the originals with this film version. I think so. I think it'll be okay.
I don't know why, but I've seen numerous clips of Defying Gravity for some reason. Was I looking up something or something? Defying Gravity is one of the songs, right?
Probably.
Yes.
I don't know. Was I looking at something for Idina Menzel or something like that? I looked at I don't know nothing about it. I just fell out a wicked hole at one point, but that's literally all I know about it was Idina Menzel singing it.
But do we know when this is coming out? Because is he still doing the Crazy Rich Asians too? Like, is he still doing that or not? I don't know. Because all I saw on it was John M. Cho's birthday a couple of days ago, and all I saw was on Henry Golding's Instagram was, "Let's go have more beers in Langkawi soon." So I'm like, was that a reference to Crazy Rich Asians 2 shooting in Malaysia again?
We'll work for money.
For Singapore.
Hey John, John, this G.I. Joe thing ain't working out, man. I gotta get another job.
Exactly.
Has anyone seen Snake Eyes yet?
Nah.
No, I only just remember that movie existed.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing it up because I completely blanked on that. Yeah.
Also, I have to say, with John M. Cho, like a lot of the times, stage to screen adaptations haven't been very good. However, in The Heights, we've never seen the stage adaptation, but we love the screen adaptation, and so John M. Cho does have that cred behind him, and I guess we're all waiting to see what Steven Spielberg does with West Side Story. But Dear Evan Hansen, for example, has not gotten the most glowing reviews. We can't comment because we haven't seen it. And then there was the disaster that was Cats.
I am, I think, halfway through the Jenny Nicholson takedown of. She's a YouTube commenter. She did like a whole thing on Avatar Land. It's very entertaining. But she did a whole takedown of everything wrong with Evan Hansen, and there's a lot.
Nice.
There's an awful lot of it wrong. And like she used clips because it's on. I think it's available somewhere digitally, so she was able to use an awful lot of clips in it. So yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. Have you seen Julianne Moore singing about the truck?
No.
It's like the end of every line is truck, and it's like a song. She's not really singing; it's more talking. It's like, but it wasn't that same truck that you wanted to see when you looked for the truck. And it says truck.
But dude, like I know nothing about the musical, but this thing, people fucking love the songs, all the Tonys it won.
It turns out the musical is also a garbage fire. Like it has bad messages and everything. It just seems to be weird. Anyway, but that's.
I think when we spoke about it, I think Ian, you mentioned about how it is the stage is problematic, but it could possibly be because the theater audience sort of really fell in with the messaging of the movie, which is this: nobody understands me, I'm a misunderstood genius.
And I think there's two songs I think missing there's two songs missing in the movie that might make that clearer. But it's just Evan Hansen, the guy who plays Evan Hansen, it's just his performance as well, because he's hunching his shoulders. It looks weird, and there's points where Jenny Nicholson saying she recoiled in horror because she felt like he was leaning in, and it was like, oh my god, this 30-year-old man in my face. So it just seems
Pretending to be 16.
yeah.
Yeah.
But some way I've heard that is to enjoy the movie is if you assume that he is actually, when he's singing, it's actually like he's singing because like he's in universe. It's not like that his emotions across through song. It's literally if he was weird enough to start singing in the middle of this very awkward situation, that's the best way to get the enjoyment out of it.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
I think it's still on the schedule over here, so we might get it in Malaysia at some
I'm
point.
looking forward to it.
Oh, actually, hey, before we move on to talk about Red Notice, I have to say this: for anyone watching right now or listening to the podcast later, James Bond opens in Malaysia on November 25th, and this is a PSA. We know it drops on VOD on November 9th.
We
right?
do?
Which is, yes, it was just announced, which is 16 days before it hits cinemas. Wait and watch it on the big screen. We know those pirates will have 4K versions ready for your consumption in no time, but you've waited this long. Just wait a little longer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Daniel Craig's last turn as James Bond.
Exactly.
Watch it on the big screen. Don't do yourself a disservice.
My
Plus-
sister and brother-in-law have seen it because it released in the UK a few weeks ago.
Right.
And they said it's a real experience in IMAX because apparently the action sequences and shit are just like, of all the Craig movies, this one has the best, like some of the best action sequences. And I think we saw bits of that in the trailer.
Yeah.
But they said there's a lot more.
It
They
seems to
didn't
be,
give everything away in
it
the
seems
trailer.
to be a bit of a mixed bag, so you might as well get the most enjoyment out of the action scenes we're seeing on the big screen. Because if you don't have that, you might come off. I've heard a lot of people being very negative about it, but also positive about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've heard like some super positive. I think Mark Commode really loved it, and yeah, so I've heard some really positive stuff as well. But yeah, we'll get to watch it soon, and then we'll definitely drop a review as well. But as a PSA, we know those clear copies are going to be ready for you, but wait just a little while longer. Just a little while longer. All right, so we're going to kick things off by talking about a movie that drops next Friday. That's November 12th, and it's Red Notice. And you might have seen billboards for it all over town with a chaste-looking Gal Gadot. Because
we bring you
dress,
the uncensored shit.
Yes, we bring you the uncensored shit because the cleavage dress was too much for DBKL. And if you know anything about this movie, it just stars three of the biggest names on the planet right now: Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot. And it is, I guess, a heist, Indiana Jones, Castle of Cagliostro, buddy comedy like caper.
Caper is the word, yeah.
Caper, good word, yeah.
Directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber, who has worked with Dwayne Johnson 3 times now. This is his 3rd consecutive film with Dwayne Johnson. Just like that guy who worked with Jason Momoa. And directed that little girl movie, which we all really hated.
Yeah.
And this one's been delayed because of COVID, but it finally hits Netflix. It's actually getting a cinema release in the US and the UK.
I thought the premiere on Thursday.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. And I don't know
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's the review. Yeah, I did. That's what I've always forget which cards I need to get to just get, like, the ones that we can reuse every week over here. And It's Fine is definitely one of them.
Yes.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I think it's fine, or it was fine when I was watching it, and there were bits when I was laughing at and going, that's cute. But after I finished the film, I felt a downer because I was suddenly disappointed at everything this movie should have been. My biggest takeaway was that Rawson Marshall Thurber spends so much time homaging all of these other films. Ryan Reynolds is even humming the Raiders March at one point.
Yes.
Yeah, it says it in the subtitles, right?
In the subtitles, yeah.
That he kind of forgets to do his own thing. So I'm laughing at these moments because I recognize the references and I'm like, that's cute. Oh, that's cool. And then after this movie was done, I'm like, but what was this movie?
What was the point?
Yeah. I remember texting you, Ian, afterwards, and then I think it was you, Bahir, which one said that basically it felt like all 3 actors were left to do the
Ian said
thing.
it.
I have no
Ian said,
recollection
yeah.
of this.
Okay. Well, they were kind of left to do the thing that they are known for.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the director just went, "Oh yeah, this is the script, but do that shtick that
Yeah.
everyone loves you."
It's
Do
like
that Ryan Reynolds thing.
Yeah, it's like the three androids, and they basically engage Ryan mode, right? And he just, like, I think there's one
Yes.
point. There's one point he does something. It's a delivery or it's something else, and of a line. And I think I've seen it in Free Guy or in several of his movies. Do you know what I mean? It's like in Deadpool, it felt like there was more to it, or like felt like the jokes were written more. In this, it's like you're getting basic Ryan Reynolds. You know what I mean? There's nothing.
Yes.
They haven't used that as a foundation to build on top of,
Yeah.
to say like, okay, we have these three ultra charming actors. We're going to be super on board. The audience is going to be super on board no matter what happens. Gal Gadot's having a ball, but you need to have something on top of that. I can't remember. I can remember. We'll get to How Did I Fall later, but there's a zinger in there that was amazing. That even without notes, I can remember what it was. In this, I'm like, there's that bit where Ryan Reynolds was real Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson was big and angry, and that's the movie.
I mean, the one thing that the one thing that Dwayne Johnson didn't do was his raising the Rock eyebrows.
No.
That was like, that's where he drew the line almost, right? But everything else is just, I mean, I was reading an article, I can't remember, by maybe Wired or Variety, about how it's gotten to the point where where movies like this are Dwayne The Rock Johnson's fault, because unlike someone like Batista, who does very good film choices, the roles he gets, the roles he picks are varied, ranged, and good roles. Whereas Dwayne The Rock Johnson just seems to want to do
Dwayne The Rock
this
Johnson.
now. Yeah.
I'm wondering, is that leather coat? It is a statement piece, but is that leather coat just part? Is he, like Malaysian Productions, just bringing his wardrobe to work because that's what he wants to wear? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's like the more motivated version of Bruce Willis, where it's like, this is what I want to do, but this is all I'm going to do. He's not going to be challenged. Like, and I do think,
But also because he's producing these movies, right? Whether it's Black Adam, Red Notice, I think even Jungle Cruise, he's got such an active hand in these films.
And
also, they're directors that aren't established directors, so it also feels like he's guiding the director and the production
them, in
some ways, which, it's great and all when an actor is involved, but at the same time, that's why you have directors, that's why you have editors, right?
You wouldn't get Punch Drunk Love if you let Adam Sandler have his own way, as we've seen.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I mean, this and Jungle Cruise are almost similar in tone, in that while watching it, it was fine. I had a good enough time.
I think he wears the same outfit from Jungle Cruise at one point at the end.
I think so, yeah. But I think it just feels completely forgettable. I will forget this movie when it comes out next week.
I've forgotten it already. I watched it on Wednesday.
I've mostly.
At first, I thought I was being cynical, and then I realized, no, it actually is the truth. The fact that this movie was put together by an algorithm, it couldn't feel like watching this. I was like, yes, the three of them have about 100 million followers on Instagram, and Netflix was like, hey, like, let's get them all in a film.
You want to get like Diet Heat or Ocean's 3, but you don't. It doesn't. None of it is that zingy.
Yes.
Don't care about these eggs. I think Johnson gets away with it more because maybe he's a bit of a more defined character who's contrary a little bit about things. Ryan Reynolds in this, I just felt like if he does this forever, I'm going to hate him. If he keeps doing this, I'm not going to like him anymore.
Because he was already bordering on annoying, right?
Yeah.
And also, we've just seen Free Guy.
Yeah. I think Free Guy had enough of a spin on it. There was some weirdness in that, but that's okay. He's algorithmically generated. In this, it's like, you stop being algorithmically generated now. It's like a Ryan Reynolds thing happens is like literally what happens most of the time. Oh, he's going to drop that thing. He's going to say or something. He's going to. It's just.
But that Free Guy thing is a good point, because in Free Guy, he's Ryan Reynolds but not at the most Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
This literally feels like you said, Ian, that you've forgotten. Just somebody says Ryan Reynolds does a thing, followed by Gal Gadot do a thing.
Yeah.
It feels like that bad script writing of and they fight.
Yeah. Or that episode of Tiny Toons where they had Taz's sister, or Taz's sister was telling a story, and it was all, and then suddenly, and then suddenly,
right,
and then suddenly.
Yeah. yeah. I mean,
Also,
at one point
this
there was.
movie. Oh yeah.
Sorry,
No,
at one point, like Ryan Reynolds even says, "Look for the box that says MacGuffin."
Yeah.
I mean, it's cute.
That's
but
cute,
also,
but that's also an hour late.
yeah. I'm
Exactly.
too far into this movie for you to throw out the MacGuffin joke.
Not only that, but I was losing it the amount of times people were saying eggs. Let's get the egg. And I was just like, the word has lost all meaning. It's just egg.
I never want eggs ever again. Yeah.
That drove me up the wall. And then also this movie
Hey, look,
just
Uma, eggs.
suddenly eggs. This movie suddenly made me realize that Gal Gadot can't act for shit.
I didn't know she was too bad. I mean, she's not.
I thought she was
I didn't
like
think she
she's
was great.
supposed to be femme fatale, and when she shows up, there's this scene where it's like a pseudo torture scene, a jokey torture scene, and it was cringy. Like,
I think,
and even the
there's a
dance
weird
scene.
thing.
There's the dance scene that's supposed to be True Lies-esque.
That's the problem.
And it's supposed to be
you can't,
hot and sexy.
The fact
And
that you bring up
it's
True
not.
Lies is that it's like if you can't top that, it's the same problem every time. If it's been done before, do it better, do it differently, and I didn't do enough of it.
Or don't
No,
do
it
it.
just
Right?
it feels so flat, and
Yeah.
I blame the directors, right? And I know you brought this up when we were talking about Jungle Cruise as well, Ian, but you probably can't remember it. But the lack of chemistry between Gal Gadot and The Rock, similar to whether it was believable that Emily Blunt and The Rock were romantically involved, right? And I think that's a directorial problem. Like, you know, when you're watching any kind of rom-com, you can immediately tell when the actors have chemistry or whether there's this kind of palpable tension between them.
Out of sight.
And out of fuck, that's on a different level, my friend.
And that's what I'm saying.
They wouldn't
That's,
say anything.
that's
Yeah.
the bar. If you can't do that, they're just good friends. Just like we've done the cast test, and they're literally they can't get anywhere near J-Lo and George Clooney, so they're just buddies, and we'll go with that.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
I mean,
And
that's
this
the Awkwafina Shang-Chi effect, right? It's like, are you guys going
Right.
out?
Don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah, and
Don't
that
care.
dance sequence felt just like cold. It was did
Yeah.
nothing for me. And here she is in a dress with a slit that runs all the way up her fucking leg, and nothing.
And that dance sequence really felt like two enemies dancing. It had no ulterior undertones, overtones, nothing. It really felt they had no chemistry.
No, but even with two enemies dancing, you want it to be like Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is it's got none of that. It's got
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I generally really like Ryan Reynolds, but I think in this one, I think the Ryan Reynolds-ness does a disservice to him.
He needed
Yeah.
to. It's like Jim Carrey when he got out of control, right? You need to rein him in a bit and unleash him with the right spots. As it was, it
Yeah.
didn't seem to have a good tempo, right? It was just
Yeah.
kind of things happened and it moved on. I do have to say as well, what the hell was going on with the villain guy, Chris Diamantopoulos? Like,
Yeah, I don't know what's up.
if you
with
look
that
at his
guy. Yeah, I don't know
IMDb
what's up.
page, he looks like a weirdly face filtered Ryan Reynolds, but he's like
What's
his
his
voice.
accent?
His voice was weird. He's a little
Yeah.
small guy. There's some
Yeah.
Napoleon stuff going on there. It's weird.
Yeah, but he was great in Silicon Valley.
Oh yeah.
He was
Oh,
great in
that's
Silicon
right.
Valley. Yeah.
He was
yeah.
the investor guy.
He was the investor guy, the weird sort of oddly pumped up investor guy who kept losing his money. And I think, and this just is like, why him?
Yeah,
it
I
could
mean-
have been any old Joe from Central Casting.
Yeah, like it could have, like there should be there's supposed to be. I felt like there's supposed to be a thing here, but I can't figure it out. Like, yes, he's short, and he's weirdly high voice, but they're not playing it off as he's like super effeminate, or they're not playing
Yeah.
him off as he has these weird quirks. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not like Rose Byrne in Spy. You know what I mean? Where that whole character
Yeah.
is just like, what the fudge, you know?
Yeah. It just feels like they're not pushing it enough almost, right? They do all this, and even the Napoleon thing, it was only because someone says it in the movie.
Yeah.
And it nothing felt natural in this thing. Yeah.
It also felt incredibly disjointed. Like, I know they were jumping from country to country to try and create this globe-trotting adventure, but then there's a whole scene, and you see it in the trailer, there's a whole scene at a bullfight, and it
I forgot about that.
feels it feels like the most half-baked idea. It literally is what you see in the trailer. It's like 30
Yeah.
seconds or more. That's it.
And
And,
no,
then it's done.
and
then they
it's-
just
it's
get up
such a-
and walk off.
It's
Like,
such a stupid setup for that scene, right? Like, okay, sure, they're in Spain to do a thing. something happens, they go to this other thing, and then they escape through the bull ring. You just go like, huh?
Yeah.
You don't even need that bull ring sequence, right? They could have just jumped out the window and been done with it.
You got to have that for the Jurassic Park joke. And I was like actually looking at it going like, wait, is that right about bulls? I don't know. Is that a thing? I don't know. And they're like, oh no, it's not. Okay, fine.
No, but it just doesn't. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it for a joke.
Yeah.
For that joke. It's a good joke though. I will say it's a great joke.
I think that's the thing.
It's a good joke, but it's also a joke that's 30 years old.
That's the thing.
And
when you say like these moments, you wonder when I was said heat, like Diet Heat, or Face Off even, you want to have something that really builds on their personalities. And just like I said, that moment is like, Dwayne Johnson's a stick in the mud. Ryan Reynolds is funny but slightly confused, and that should have been a zinger. And there's just no zingers. That's it.
Yeah.
That needs to be. If you're gonna team people up like this, you can't just coast on their charm. You have to put something else in there. You have to have Nicolas Cage losing his mind, or John Travolta doing a Nicolas Cage impression. I mean, you just have to have that, something like that.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, I don't think I would have been expecting as much if it wasn't for the fact this was the most expensive Netflix movie ever made, right?
What, really?
Reported budget of over 200 million.
Oh jeez.
Where'd the money go? All that CGI looked.
I don't know.
All the CGI looked ass.
Yeah.
The CGI looked like ass. I mean, especially after watching a snow-capped Russian prison scene in Black Widow, which looked incredible.
That's all right.
The Black Widow one looked pretty cool.
It was fine. It was fine, but there was so many weird visual things about like everything was overly lit. It looked like the Mummy, the Mummy 2 or 3, where the lighting didn't match. I think we've usually gotten past that in CGI now, where the lighting on your actors usually matches the lighting on your CG elements, and it didn't have that at all here. And I don't know whether it was part of that either. Ryan Reynolds' stubble made him look like a Ken doll. Did you think that as well? It looked like really. I mean, it looked like.
It was a very weird stubble.
It looked like it's that
made
money,
even weirder when he was wearing that mask.
Yeah, is this the tryout? Was the reason why this is so expensive? Is this the tryout for the life model decoy of Ryan Reynolds? Is this like the actual android Ryan?
Yeah.
I mean, there's. I don't know.
No, because I mean, when you spend 200 million on a movie and you have these three people, my initial thought is, you know what, Netflix is gonna say, "Fuck you, studios. This is how you make an action movie. This is how you kickstart a franchise. Take that, Fast and Furious." But nope.
No.
And
I mean, look,
like every scene in this film you've seen before, done better.
Yes,
that's the thing.
Last week in fucking Army of Thieves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which probably I don't know how much that cost, but that looked way better.
Yeah.
That was definitely cheaper.
And look, I think like I would rather watch another Six Underground, because that had a better storyline, right? This gang of thieves coming together, doing a thing, doing a big heist. Yeah. That was cool, and I think Ryan Reynolds was very well controlled in that one.
I still haven't seen that. I don't know why I skipped that one.
And not only a better storyline, but I think by having non-A-listers, right? Not packing it with A-listers did make a difference. Because I think you had a better character dynamic between Ryan Reynolds and the rest of his team. Like, they were fun characters. Sure, they fit a template, but it was a template that just works in a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah.
But
we all know you're going to watch it.
Everyone's going to watch it. But honestly, like, Ian, when you do get around to it, that opening car chase sequence in Six Underground is fucking mental. It is epic. Like, even like that takes Bayhem to another level. So it's even Michael Bay going, you know what? I'm pushing the envelope, right? And that's what we talked about when we were talking about Fast 9 as well. Those movies always escalate. They push the envelope to the point of ridiculousness, but it's become so self-referential and self-aware that they are laughing along with you.
Yeah, I keep meaning to ask you guys about the Nordic chin comment. Did you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I was Googling, is like, why is this in this movie? I mean, they're going to... The other thing is, like, yes, they're so self-aware. They're going to space, as people say. The only thing they can do next is go to space. And no, yo, dog, we've already done that. But the Nordic chin thing is like, Charlize Theron says to John Cena, "Oh, no, I didn't... Interesting chin. I didn't spot a Nordic strain." And I couldn't stop thinking about that. And I did Google it. People are saying, like, it's just the movie poking fun at itself because John Cena and Vin Diesel look nothing alike. I'm like,
exactly.
Okay, that's
Exactly.
good. But
Yeah.
did you guys know anything about that? I just thought it was.
No,
I thought it was
I
weirdly
thought it was
specific.
a weird joke. Yeah.
Yeah,
Unless
I just thought it was a weird joke.
Unless the next episode, the next installment is that actually John Cena's mother or father is not the same, and some other shit's gonna happen. But I don't know. Weird. Anyway, that's been bugging me for days.
Oof.
It's nice to see the little things that play on Ian's mind when the movie starts.
It's like that monkey with the monkey with the symbols in Homer Simpson's brain. Only it's just like fucking John
Nordic
Cena's chin.
Nordic chin. Yeah. No, Red Notice. I mean, it comes out next week. You're gonna watch it, and this is what I was. I think I mentioned in my review as well. And this is the cynical side of me, the algorithmic side of me. They know that as you're scrolling through Netflix, completely confused as to what to watch, you will see a photo of Gal Gadot or The Rock or Ryan Reynolds and go, "Oh, okay then," and click.
Yeah.
play,
Or
right?
that
And
other guy.
that's
You
all-
mean
that's all they're counting?
the way that Netflix's image galleries work? Who the fuck knows what you might see? You might just see an egg.
That's a good point. You might see it.
If you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, so Red Notice premieres Friday, November 12th on Netflix. Once it comes out, we really want to know what you think about it. Are we just being overly harsh and critical? I don't think so, because, when you spend 200 million on something, it better fucking be good. Don't just give me the same shit.
That's twice as much as Terminator 2 cost.
Oh.
Wow. Well,
Oh.
adjusted for inflation?
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, probably not. But still.
But yeah, I mean, it's probably more than what Shang-Chi cost. And that was a great time at the cinema. So there you go. All right, so let us know. You know how to get in touch with us. You can check out our review on the site. You can connect with us on social media, Goggler MY. You can also email us, podcast@goggler.my, or WhatsApp us on the Goggler hotline, 012-524-5208. Can I just say, got the weirdest message on the Goggler hotline so far.
Ooh.
It is from India.
Cool.
And someone messaging, didn't mention a name. Remember Miku Martineau, who was in Kate? She was the young girl. Going, hello, I would like to get in touch with Miku Martineau because my boss wants to have her appear at his birthday party.
We'll put you right through.
I was like, sure, buddy. I will hit them right up for you.
That's it. It seems to be an Indian thing. Like 2 decades ago, I did some admin for a website called PTV, which is personalized television, and I was getting pitches for Pakistani television. I was like, I've got this great pitch for a TV show. I was like, dude, this ain't. How did you get this email? This ain't it. What are you talking about?
Also, this is not how the business is done.
No.
No,
Okay.
no.
You go to their
I'm just curious to
Instagram.
know-
You go to their Instagram, not on there.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to know who the boss is. Like, maybe it could be one of the Tatas, like someone super rich. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Anyway.
also that guy has hired the wrong PA because you don't ask the interviewer for a phone number, dude.
Exactly. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about the week's biggest release.
What?
Oh, wait. Oh,
No.
we're doing
the
The
other
Harder
one.
They Fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that we were talking about this movie this week.
Bahir
You've
put
seen
it
it,
in.
right?
Did you not see? Bahir put it in the tweets. Did you not see?
No, because he forgot to update Asana.
Oh.
There we go. All right. Let's
didn't watch
talk
it,
The
right?
Harder They Fall.
You did watch it.
I did
right?
watch it. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. So
I
we
think
can-
there's plenty to talk about on this.
I'm
Yeah.
ready to go. So The Harder They Fall is another Netflix movie, much better than Red Notice. And this one stars every black person you know.
That's
And some you don't.
yeah. That's weird that you say that. But okay.
My mom watched this movie as well, and she came up to me just earlier today, and going, "I saw that movie on Netflix. They die very hard." I'm like, "Oh, that's Harder They Fall."
Oh, bless your mom.
That sounds like an awesome Indian remake of Die Hard.
Yeah, they die very hard.
Ooh.
Instead of Christmas, it's just set at Deepa Valley.
It is a western which is directed by James Samuel, who is Seal's brother, by the way, if you didn't know.
Oh,
really?
is that why? Oh,
Yes,
okay. Good.
yes.
Because in the Netflix press place where we find all the pictures, there were a lot of pictures of Seal at an event. I'm like, why is he Why is he
There we go.
here?
James
Okay.
Samuel is his brother. James Samuel is a fantastic musician in his own right.
Mhm.
Oh.
He wrote and directed The Harder They Fall, and like I said, it stars Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, Zazie Beetz, Regina King, Delroy Lindo, LaKeith Stanfield. Just fantastic lineup. It is a western. The plot line. Well, there's a lot going on in this film, but the most basic plot line is that there is a feud between Nat Love, played by Jonathan Majors, and Rufus Buck, played by Idris Elba, and they both have gangs, and violence and brutality ensues in this film.
He's pretty good when he's no notes, isn't he, Bahir?
Yeah, so no, it's all right.
Yeah.
Does it?
You don't necessarily see Idris Elba until much later in the movie. But what I liked about, I guess, Idris Elba or Rufus Buck is that you feel his presence right from the beginning. Right?
Yeah.
I love this movie. I had a lot of fun with this film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is not as impactful or meaningful as something like Django, for example, which has a message.
Yeah.
But you can see, or at least I could see, the influence of people like Tarantino and Van Peebles and directors like that on this. But it's very cool that James Samuel, who was clearly very inspired by Westerns growing up, decided to make a film, cast African-American or British African actors in these roles featuring real people from the past, but telling a fictionalized story around it.
Yeah, they existed, right? That's what they said at the beginning. This is the
That was the beginning, yeah.
These people were true.
Yeah.
These are the events, but they existed.
And I think all of these years we've been exposed to Westerns featuring white people, and so much so that the argument around the lack of diversity in Westerns is, oh well, that was just like what it was at the time, which is why you don't see.
No, it's
that
because
many
that's
black
because
people.
the I've done my research. Watching John Wayne movies doesn't count. There was plenty.
Exactly.
There is. I think you can throw a lasso and you'll find, and you'll hit several articles online talking about the Black Cowboys of the West.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the Black Cowboys in the West were really prominent, and they've just never had those stories told by Western media.
Except in Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, except in Blazing Saddles.
I guess. I guess.
And,
sure.
And we got a taste of it in Concrete Cowboy, with Idris Elba, which talks about the long history of Black Cowboys and how they've kind of made their way into contemporary culture as well.
Motherfucker loves horses.
But no, watching this film, like, I thought the action was tremendous. I thought Regina King was incredible. Zazie Beetz was great.
Yeah.
There's heists, there's bank robberies, there's shootouts,
train robberies.
Train robberies.
Yeah.
It's got literally everything you want from a Western in one movie.
Yeah. I mean, look, we were just talking about Red Notice and how potentially that could be a franchise. I want this to be a franchise.
Yeah.
If there's any franchise I want this franchise.
The Harder They Fall universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Yeah.
Because the easier they'll get to make. Because I did like it, but I felt that it stumbled in certain areas that that were annoyed me. It's again the same problem with Red Notice, where I didn't feel it was getting to where it could have gotten. Like, the music choices were fine, but it wasn't like, oh, that's blowing me away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everyone, like, Jonathan Majors is amazing. Zazie Beetz' character is amazing. LaKeith Stanfield just slouching in this movie is just best Oscar
isn't he Val Kilmer in Tombstone? Like,
kind of, yeah. But it's like but they're all doing these great things individually. But I felt that they didn't quite come together as long as the plot didn't seem to be like, these are legends on screen, and the plot didn't really seem to warrant that. It did get there near the end, I think, with the Idris Elba and Jonathan Majors conflicts that went on there. But there's a thing that Zazie Beetz does in the middle of this movie that kicked me fucking right out of it, and I was just like, they kind of hung a lampshade on it. They said, like, oh, this is, to do this thing would be dumb, and then she does the dumb thing, and then the rest of the movie happens. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yes.
They're looking down into the town the night before, and she's like, I got to go do something. And Jonathan Majors is like, that's a bad idea. And then she goes, does it anyway. And it turns out to be a bad idea. And I was just like, You were the coolest motherfuckers. You were the, I was fucking Obi-Wan and fucking Mustafar. You were the chosen ones. This is great. You were all so fucking cool. And now you made the one woman on your team do the dumbest fucking thing in the world. And then that's the reason, like any other reason could have been used to get her into a position of danger, right?
Yeah.
But for her to put her head in the fucking lion's den, the lion's mouth with barbecue sauce smeared all over it, it annoyed me. It really took me out of the film for quite a while. That it took that awesome action. It took, I think, two guys falling off the roof, being shot off the roof of houses, which is a great Western trope. There's a guy with the rifle that you shoot him, and he either falls down or falls through the window. That's the stuff right there. That got me back into it, and the action was great. It's like, why don't they just blow up the? Oh, they did blow up the thing. Okay, cool, awesome, nice.
Yeah,
that was great.
I've heard some snippy reviews about it, calling it style over substance, and
I don't think that sticks. I think there's an element to it, but it's like, the same people. It's the same people going with the probably say lauding the French Dispatch or whatever, because Wes Anderson puts all his people in the same clothes. Like, they have looks. You know what I mean? They all have a specific look, and they look fucking cool. Yeah. The town, the houses look amazing. Everything's so bright.
It looks, yeah.
Oh no, but the movie is incredibly stylish, and I don't think it's a bad thing. No. And it's just that, yes, Django had a message, for example, but I'm glad that we're getting a black Western like this as well, which is just, it's fun. Like, it's incredibly brutal and gruesome, but it's also fun.
And look, I think this again falls right in with that Red Notice thing, right? Not every movie needs to have a message, even and just because it's a movie about black cowboys in the olden days, it doesn't need a message about slavery and reparations. It doesn't need all that. This is just...
or even a history of black cowboys in the olden days, right? Because that's kind of implied.
But it could also be just the strengths of brotherhood and friendship and the bonds that shall not be broken and all that kind of stuff. And they could lead a little bit more than that. I think it weirdly falls between two stools, because if it was more gritty, or if the style, because like the trailer made that breakout scene with Idris Elba look fucking amazing, and the movie didn't quite live up to that. The music choice wasn't the same, I thought, and everything else. Like when he's slouching out, right? He just slouches out in the slow-mo. It didn't land as... I mean, it's hard for... A trailer's got a very easy job to do. To stretch that out over a whole movie is very, very hard. But I felt that it just didn't hit the same, and I wanted them to hit more.
But that's it. Like, part of the reason why I enjoyed this movie so much was because it was so cool. Like, everyone was cool. Like, they all had their hero moments. They all had their swagger, like all of that.
For me, sorry, just to jump in, I think, Ian, you had a photo earlier of Cal, not Cal, of Jonathan Majors, Zazie Beetz, and the other lady.
Regina King?
Just the three of them. There was a three shot. And I think
that's not them. That's Jonathan Majors, Delroy Lindo, and the guy who does the quick shot.
There's another photo on the press thing that I think we've used in other things.
Oh, okay.
And there's a photo there that, and this is just to go down to what you were talking about, Umar, about how they all have their own style. There's a way that Jonathan Major stands, right? There's a way that Zazie Beetz is standing. There's a cool swagger. There's a John Wayne-esque, pop of the hip one way because they've got a gut, because that's where their favorite gun is, right?
I mean, and I think a prime example, this photo here, you've got, Zazie Beetz looking slightly defeated because she's trapped by these henchmen, and
she's been caught.
Regina King is dominating the scene, and LaKeith Stanfield, he's too cool to even show up in the goddamn picture. He's off to the left.
He's got other things to do.
There's nothing to lean on there. He's like, I'm going over there. He's leaning on a building over here where he can look fucking cool, right?
Yeah, and I think there's a stylized gets a bad rap because it feels like the following word is over substance.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it isn't, right? The when they go to the white town to rob a bank, everything is so white.
That was the best laugh. That was the best.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. But even the town, I think Idris Elba's town, Redwood, I think is what it's called. Was that right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Even that town looks beautiful.
Yeah.
There's that first shot, and I played the shot back 3 times, I think, when Jonathan Majors and his crew first comes up into town.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way the camera pulls. It does that that Spielberg Jaws thing where it pulls out as it zooms in.
Yeah.
Zooming in. Yeah.
So the backdrop, which is the facade of a building, doesn't move away from the cast as they're moving towards it. It's a beautiful fucking shot.
Yeah.
I played that shot over so many times. I think there's so much style here. That fucking thing is just dripping in style, right? The first time Jonathan Majors walks into Zazie Beetz' saloon.
Oh yeah.
And she walks out singing a song, and the crowd is sort of
Banging a
responding
shotgun
to
on the ground.
Oh, banging a fucking shotgun. The only shotgun in the saloon, by the way. Only gun in the saloon is hers. Yeah. It's great. There's so much style here.
And it feels like James Samuel set the whole film to a soundtrack that he had in his mind. Like everything, the style,
the producer is
movement.
Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Jay-Z produced this film. Yeah. So
but it feels there's a musicality
there's a
to the way it was shot, right?
absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I enjoyed How Did They Fall.
I really enjoyed this movie. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Regina King focused sequel. Which did you see the bit at the end?
Ooh, yeah, I want that.
Yeah,
I want the universe. I want the whole universe.
Actually,
I want the prequel. I want the side spin-offs. I want everything.
That fight at
you
the
want
end,
the TV
I felt.
series?
Yeah, I thought that fight at the end, that thread of like her and Zazie Beetz, the way that resolved was just like. I was pretty sure someone was going to end up in the die because it was a room for dying clothes. It was like get in there, but I think they probably would have gone too much into a kind of a wet wrestling t-shirt party thing.
No, you're right. Actually, that's a good point. Yeah.
But there was some points in that fight, like everyone else was shooting each other, la-di-da, whatever. But the two women are like, I'm wincing and sucking air through my teeth because it's so brutal. They're going at each other.
Brutal, some of those hits. Yeah, and I think, again, to go back to the story, to my thing about style, that fight sequence, the way the clothes, the way the not laundry, but the way the garments were hanging up, different colors. The dye vats were all different colors. They were bright colors. Nothing is. They all look like that photo, right? It's not in shadow. There's no grittiness here. It's just bright. It pops.
Is that an attempted segue into the Eternals?
Well,
you could, but also,
there,
I mean, just to go back to Red Notice, right? I mean, he's doing something new with the genre, right? He takes the Western genre. He's doing more than just saying, "Hey, I'm replacing all the white people with black people."
Yeah.
Nope.
Yes.
I'm changing the look of things. I'm giving you something new to look at, something that's visually different than every other Western that you've seen, which is what we want as the audience watching Red Notice. It's like, oh no, seen that heist bit. Oh, that's from Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
That's from Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Only they did it better.
Yeah. And like even the music, I think their music choices there were a lot of I mean I could be just jumping the gun and making assumptions here, but there were a lot of like really African inspired film. I think a lot of the bands were non-American bands, which I think was also great. But it still felt like a Western music, like a Western.
It felt like of a piece, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
it fit.
Yeah. So
did you notice there seemed to be like a nod to the Black Panther drums in there a few times?
Yeah,
there was two scenes where there was like a dum 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 noises that were very similar to some of the Black Panther.
And I'm wondering if it's just like the idea that the African Americans who were there at the time were from Africa. They had influences of their traditional music, etc. Because
there was a nice tribute to Boseman.
In this?
The train.
Oh really? Oh
yeah.
Where?
A nice tribute to Chadwick Boseman on the side of the train.
But wasn't that BOHSM?
Carriage. Oh no, BOSE. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That was quite nice. So. Yeah.
Look. Sorry, just to quickly go, just do a random aside. Had he been alive, I think it would have been great in this film.
Yeah.
I think he would have been in this movie.
I probably would have.
Exactly.
I don't know what role he would have been in, but it would. Yeah.
I do have to say as well, actually, Daniel Deadwyler was fantastic as Cuffy.
Cuffy,
yes.
Yeah.
Like that role was really interesting one to play, and I think they did a really interesting job with it. And like they play off the line where she talks about like I've seen Faster with the gun. I was like, where's that? It's like in the mirror, and they play that off nicely.
Yes.
There's also, I meid it's been out, so I think I've been holding up on this, but I think there's a line that Delroy Lindo says to some random henchman, which made me laugh out loud, which was. I'd say to go fetch your superior, but that'd be like asking you go find your daddy. Could be anybody. That was such A brilliant Delroy Lindo delivery.
Yes.
Yeah.
And his appearance did prompt us as like when we're watching it, Davina was saying like, "Oh, it's your man from the Good Fight." Like, yeah, this is why he left. He's just gone to do movies on Netflix now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
How Did They Fall? I think it did have a cinema release, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there are some of these Netflix movies that seem to be getting cinema releases. I don't know if it's just because they want to be up for awards consideration. I don't know post-COVID whether the awards guys are going to go back to the old days. Who knows? Yeah, but it drops. It dropped on Netflix on Wednesday. But check it out. Let us know what you think. It is a lot of fun. It is a great way to spend 140 or so minutes. You can reach out on all the usual ways. Don't forget that you can also text us on the Goggler hotline. We will not be able to connect you to Delroy Lindo, Regina King, Jonathan Majors, or anyone of that caliber. But if you want to talk about the film, you know where to get in touch. 012-524-5208. All right, now we're going to be talking about the biggest release of the week. Marvel's Eternals. Not the Eternals. They've dropped the "the" from this film.
Other Eternals are available.
Which is the next installment in Phase 4. This one, of course, directed by newly minted Oscar winner Chloe Zhao. It stars Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Richard Madden, Gemma Chan, Kumail Nanjiani, among others. Kit Harington, and it is an adaptation. And it is an adaptation of, I guess, one of the most complex comic books, which is Jack Kirby's The Eternals. A little bit, just a brief history on that. Jack Kirby basically was trying to move away from superhero comics, and he was kind of obsessed with Eric von Daniken and Chariots of the Gods, as everyone was in the 1970s. And he decided that he's going to come up with his own creation myth. So essentially, his version of the Eternals were how humans came to Earth. And there are all of these new concepts in these comic books, Celestials, Eternals. I mean, we encountered a Celestial in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which was Star-Lord's father. But this one
and Nowhere
deep into
in
the
Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Oh, and Nowhere as well, Dead Celestial. And this one dives deep into the mythology of these 7,000-year-old immortals who came to Earth to protect it from what's called the Deviants. Once they had vanquished the Deviants, they just kind of lived here because no one gave them instructions on what to do next.
Nobody called them home.
Nobody called them home. And the story picks up in the present day when all of them have kind of settled into... the Avengers were disassembled, the Eternals disassembled, and all of them kind of settled into lives on Earth. When suddenly the Deviants return, and they've got to get the band back together again to fight evil one last time.
Yeah, they got to put on a they got to put on a show to raise money for the orphanage.
Pretty much, exactly. Go on a road trip, which they do. They go on a road trip.
Yeah, they go on a freaking road trip. Yeah.
I have to say, in my review, I said that it was a very interesting Marvel movie and probably one of the most interesting Marvel movies because they tried to do a lot of new things, right? Which is kind of taking on Kirby is fucking bold because even that New Gods project for DC fell apart because it's just really fucking weird shit he used to do.
That was before he could get anywhere, right? That was Eva DuVernay, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Eva DuVernay and Tom King. But that said, I don't think I've ever been as ambivalent about a Marvel movie. And I left the cinema, like I usually, after I finish watching an MCU movie, I know how I feel immediately. But this one, I left it going, was that good? Was that bad? What is happening? And I have these weird nitpicks, and I was trying to figure out why I had a problem with the film. And I think part of it has to do with, I think, Chloe Zhao's aloofness, which works in something like Nomadland, but she doesn't have the same kind of pop sensibility as someone like Favreau or the Russos. This, for me, felt like Kenneth Branagh doing a Thor movie. He's a brilliant director and a great writer, but that poppy sensibility was missing in this film.
That's weird, because one of the things that I felt it did incredibly well was for its cast of 10 characters.
Well, 11 including Kit Harington.
Yeah, No, 10. It's 10 by here.
10.
Sure. All right.
But it manages
Glorified cameo.
it manages to get across these 10 characters without much, like, it doesn't, like, I know who each of these characters are, and it's like, it's in the casting, it's in the acting, it's in what little bits you see of people. You know, I thought it's in Kit Harington saying, oh yeah, Sprite told me such and such, and you're like, what? Okay, cool. They just completely skip over, like, a bit like, as you brought up Thor, she knows he's from outer space, you know? And in this, it's like, he's got inkling that there's something weird with his girlfriend, Kit Harington, that is, and they kind of skip over that plotline entirely, and I thought that was a great shorthand. It's just like, of course he's not a dumbass, of course he's, you know, if he's worthy of an Eternal, he's got it going on. And I thought they did that really, really well with each character as you saw them. I thought we did get, like, you know, I wanted more Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
If you were wondering where you saw him, because we were talking about this beforehand, I think he's all over the HBO Dash, I think, in the Korean drama section.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Right.
There's some HBO drama he's in right now that's like number 2 or 3 on the HBO Dash.
Okay.
But I wanted more time with these characters. I was enjoying having time with them. It was good that, like, it's not clear going into this who the main character was. And we know who the main character is now, and it's not the guy who looks like Superman. And I thought that was very interesting for them to do. And I was mostly with that journey. But I think the things that took me out of it a little bit was it is a weird story. It wasn't the Celestial stuff, because that's cool. Fucking love those big, goofy, six-eyed guys.
That stuff's great. Yeah.
I mean, if anything, I was a little disappointed at how relatable they were, because they're supposed to be literally celestials. They're, you know, they look down on gods. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought it would just be like, I had a chat with Arisha, and what happened? Well, my brain is bleeding out my nose, and I got a feeling we're supposed to do this, but it's not like, hey buddy, go over here. You know, it shouldn't be that literal, but I guess it's hard to do that in a movie. But
what pulled me out of it was actually Gemma Chan.
Really?
Like, no, in the sense that I felt like she was Neo in the first Matrix movie. Everyone was explaining what the movie was to her. And but I don't know if she could. So I get what Chloe Zhao is trying to do with this 7,000-year-old love story, but yet I felt the chemistry between her and Richard Madden was lacking. Like, when with Pepper and Tony, there's tension there immediately. And I don't know if it was the performance or the writing. It felt a little stilted. Like,
well, we should mention that Bahir and I have no idea what you're talking about, because all the kissing scenes were taken out. So
yes,
it's the first Marvel movie to have some kind of a sex scene. By the way,
no idea what you're talking about, Uma.
Let's let some context. Ian and I went to see it at an open press preview, which means we saw the 2 end credits, but Uma went to a special junket screening, which had none of the censorship issues, but none of the post-credit scenes.
Yeah, it was a screener. It was a screener, wasn't it?
It was kind of a screener, but it was complete.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it was you didn't go to a theater. Yeah.
Oh, I did.
No,
they did a screening at the
okay.
Yeah.
So yes.
So yeah.
And so I saw some kissing between Kit Harington and Gemma Chan, between Richard Madden and Gemma Chan. There was also a little bit of love making, kosher love making, but still love making. And then there was a gay kiss as well.
Yeah.
Shock, horror.
And never let it be said that the Malaysian Censorship Board is an equal opportunity offender, because they didn't just take out the gay kiss, they took out all the kissing. You know, no one's happy.
Yes.
Everyone loses.
No. Yeah.
Cheers, Malaysia. Well done, everyone. You've ruined everything. So we didn't get that element, but I did think I think that's
even with that, Ian, even with the kissing felt really awkward, like, because the lead up to the kiss, right, is very short. So I'm meant to know that these people have always been in love, looking at each other from afar, but never making the move. And so it just feels like they suddenly hold hands and start kissing, and I'm just like, huh? So the romance element felt underplayed for me.
Right.
Which felt like a core part of the story that Chloe Zhao was trying to tell. This idea that this love that has transcended these thousands of years and blah blah blah. And yeah. Anyway.
I didn't miss it. I mean, I think it was more. I thought that Gemma Chan got across that neo-ness, I think, as well. They made her the audience surrogate. She, you know enough about her, but she's the character you're following, so she has to be finding out this stuff. And I thought that was nicely done. Although, to be fair, the fucking twist, you can see at the moment that actor's face is on screen, like they're doing something from the moment it starts, and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't trust
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I don't know why,
Yeah.
but I don't
Yeah.
trust you.
And that's
You're,
unfortunate.
you're
To me,
doing
that's
everything but
unfortunate.
wink at the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. I think there was that first appearance of that character. I think was great. But I I agree with you, Uma, in that I left the cinema thinking unsure about whether or not I enjoyed it. But I'm leaning towards I enjoyed it enough to want to go back to find out.
Same.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to
okay.
I want to see that second post credits thing again.
I'll tell you where I am, Bahir, with Eternals. I don't dislike it. I had a good time at the cinema, but I feel about Eternals the same way you feel about Black Panther.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I came home from the screening and fired up Disney Plus and tried and watched Black Panther again, and I'm like, yeah, I still don't enjoy it as much as everybody else. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I still didn't. I mean, it's a fine movie, but like, it's above Thor: The Dark World, but just ever so smidge.
Everyone shits all over Thor: The Dark World. Look, where else are you going to get a naked Stellan Skarsgård, right, running around the place? That was best top 5 MCU moments right there. Come on. Or when Thor puts his hammer in the coat rack. Right?
Yes. That was great.
Yeah.
That was great.
Jesus. No notes. I'm just going off book here. Already people complain about that movie. What the fuck?
Look,
Wait.
I enjoyed this movie. I will definitely be watching it again. And I think I like that it was new. I like that there's this new side of the MCU. It's not another not mutant. It's not an alien. It's not a far-reaching adventures in space, which were all great things. But it's nice that this is something new that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I loved most about the film. I like that Marvel is pushing into this kind of mythology because I remember reading the comics and being blown away by all the kind of stuff that Kirby was doing because I was at that age when I was reading the comics when I had also encountered Eric Von Daniken, and I was all like,
you were a very precocious 5-year-old, weren't
you? Well, I wasn't 5, I was slightly older. But I was like, pyramids from the sky.
5.5.
maybe aliens did create humanity. Yeah,
and look, and for me, when that's a great photo that you put up, Ian. I think when Arisham first showed up, I'm like, fuck, that thing's massive. Like, I was taken back by that scale, right?
Yeah.
It's not just, he's big. No, he's ginormous.
He's not just big,
universe-style large.
He's chunky. He's a chunky boy.
He's a chunky boy. Yeah.
And even in the comics, right, the Celestials, like, we are ants to them.
Yeah.
Like, they're not even, they don't even give a shit about humanity.
The Neil Gaiman version, it's like Tiamat, the sleeping celestial, is like he's standing in San Francisco, but like he's maybe twice or 3 times the size of the Statue of Liberty. Whereas this motherfucker is like, he appears over the planet and like he's visible from all angles. It's like he's like the galactic, he's like the lunar fucking Mona Lisa, the satellite Mona Lisa. The eyes follow you around the planet. You can't get away from him.
I wonder what Australia sees down there. Just upside down of his knee.
Because the other thing with Celestials, the other thing that people forget about Celestials from the comics is that they never wear pants.
Ooh,
so Australia had a very odd look.
Yeah.
If Michael Bay was making this, they'd have
Australian look. Yeah, it's a very Australian look. Yeah.
The thing that the MVP for the show, I don't know about you guys, for me was Fastos. I thought I loved his story the most. Like the story with his husband, the story with his kids. It felt incredibly grounded.
Him talking constantly about giving stuff to the human. Can we just give them a steam engine? Come on!
Yeah.
I mean, there's a great line in there about like when it's time for steam engines, it'll be time for steam engines, which is a reverse of a phrase that is like well known. Like it always, technology progresses such a rate. Like when it's time for steam engines, you'll have steam engines. When it's time for iPhones, it'll be time for iPhones. It's kind of a progressive thing. I don't know who made that sentence, but it was a nice, goofy line they had about it.
Yeah. And I think my kind of my issue is the fact that it does have 10 characters that we have to pick up, right, on this road trip journey thing. And I think you're right, Uma. I love the Fastos story, and I want to spend a bit more time there as opposed to just be, like, honestly, I think Kumail Nanjiani is great. I didn't care about his Bollywood story. I didn't need that.
That's
didn't
fun.
need that. It was but I didn't need the fun. I didn't need
But
that because I'd have
Karun was the
spent elsewhere.
best character in the whole
It is.
movie.
Who
He
was-
was
yeah.
fantastic.
You liked it. I was going to say. I was going to have a separate section for Ask an Indian, but okay, sure.
Oh no, because I've met people like him in India, and it's pitch perfect. Like so good.
How much do you want to bet at some point some Indian Americans going to complain about that? There's going
No,
to be
they can't. If they've
think
ever been
pieces.
to India, there's just
That's my point. They've
people
probably
like that.
never
Yeah.
been to India.
And I said
right?
to Bahir, I've seen him in something, and he was doing the exact same thing. So he's a character actor who does that.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
You know him,
Oh.
Uma? Oh,
I don't know.
He was in Coronation Street.
Oh,
Don't know.
really?
I-
He was
Okay.
in. Maybe it was Run Fat Boy Run. I'm thinking of. He was Mr. Gosh Dash today.
Okay.
So he's English
no,
then.
I think so, but it looks things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
But, no,
I recognize it from
I-
somewhere. I just don't know where.
I really liked it. I think for me it was just one of those things where there were places I'd have preferred to spend more time in with the different characters. I think what's his name?
Gilgamesh.
Like no. The mind guy.
Druig. I had a picture of him, but I took it
Druig.
out. I took it out because
Yeah.
we talked about Druig
I-
and his on again, off again Irish accent.
I didn't know this. Yeah, I mean,
Hey, they've lived for thousands of years, man. They can
It
change
happened.
accents whenever
They
they want.
fly in and out. Yeah, I like his I think he's got a thing, right? He's his.
Yes.
I'm going to
his-
help the humans out a bit, you know.
Yeah, but there's a more than Kumail and Nanjiani, you know, more than watching this guy joke around on a Bollywood set that he's directing and writing, talking about his father, grandfather, great grandfather. I think Druig's story about how he wants to protect humans and keep them close and keep them safe in the Amazon
Yeah.
was more important to me. And it's just things like that, you know.
And
Where's Sprite been for the last 1,000 years, other than just visiting the different guys or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like there are all these things that I wish they spent their time on.
well, she was hanging out with Salma Hayek, we forgot to mention for reasons, but I think
For reasons,
Kumail Nanjiani's like the decision of that. There's a decision that Kingo makes at the end, and is like, what? I mean, it's I guess it's the family dynamic in that like they're a quarreling family, which
Yeah.
is I guess the way, you know, he's basically Alan Ruck's character from Succession, right? In that he's not
Yeah.
he's not quite getting involved, but he's getting involved. But I think the decision he makes at the end there makes it hard to root for him because you're like, you were fun. What the fuck? Where are you going?
But also for me, that was where the movie kind of fell short in that I think
Why did
in
the Indian guy?
developing that-
Why did the Indian guy
no,
save
in
the world?
developing that no, but in developing that family dynamic, I think Chloe Zhao dropped the ball because I didn't feel the same way that I did about these 10 characters as I did with Guardians and the 5 of them at the end of that film,
Yes.
where Groot's not really dead, but you're still kind of crying about it.
Yeah. Oh, but
And-
even then, the sequence after that, right? Like when they get together and hold hands and do that thing.
Yes,
there's a big moment that as an audience you're like you're going fuck yeah. But here they try and do the same thing, but it never quite. You go like, no, okay, cool.
That said, for me, Salma Hayek and Angelina Jolie are amazing.
Did you notice Angelina
Jolie-
Jolie has made the remember that time she wore that dress with the slit and she had to stand a certain way so that the dress would fall the
so
correct
that, yes,
would fall
so that her
open.
legs are showing in a certain way. Yeah,
She was doing that throughout this movie as well.
she is. But how amazing is it? Like that was the question I was having when I heard that casting, because I was just like, why does Angelina Jolie need Eternals? Right?
It felt like she
she's
would
just-
destabilize the boat, right?
No, but also it feels like she's bigger than the MCU. Like
Yeah.
this fucking Angelina Jolie, and maybe it's just to be cool for her kids, but like she doesn't have many lines in this film, but her emotional arc is
Yeah.
solid.
She
like,
plays a character in this, you know. It's not
oh,
like
Yes.
the whole
Yeah.
stay thing is fucking
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
what was
But
the stay
there's,
thing?
there's also
with Gilgamesh.
between her and
Stay here.
Gilgamesh.
Oh yeah.
But you're right, and I think there is exactly like what Ian said. There was a concern that she would rock the boat, right? Like suddenly this is going to be the Angelina Jolie and the Eternals show.
She's a very
But in
sexy.
fact-
She's a very sexy torpedo. She sinks your boat.
Sorry.
She will sink your metaphorical
Oh,
boat.
okay, cool, got it. Yeah, okay. Sorry, yes.
Moving on.
But I think the way Chloe Zhao sort of managed her and her story was really, really good in this. I liked that she wasn't the Gemma Chan story. I'm glad that she
Yes.
wasn't the focus of the Eternals.
Yeah.
I really like this movie.
The more you're talking about it, but I think we both share one major complaint, which is, for the love of God, it comes back to the harder they fall. Just light things, please. Light things
What the
properly.
fuck is up
Marvel,
with
this
that?
is two
Yeah.
now. This is Shang-Chi and this. The end of Shang-Chi gets
Yeah.
gets progressively darker as the climax goes on, to no effect. Like, it doesn't. It's not like Batman Shadows. It's just like everything's grey. You have lightning storms and you have
Yeah.
everything. It's like, are you trying to hide the slightly dullness
Yeah.
of the effects, or what is it? And then this is the same with that fight in the Amazon is
Yeah.
a bit
It's
garbo.
It's muddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's weird because like even their costumes, other than Angelina Jolie's one, which is just like bright white, everybody
Yeah.
else is just like a faded blue, like a dark blue, a dark purple, slightly faded green.
And they don't wear them in the Amazon, I think, as well. They get their suits. They wear
don't.
their suits
Yeah.
later.
No, they're civilian
Yeah.
clothing. Yeah.
Yeah, but in that Amazon sequence is not great because the deviants they fight, which we've all seen in the trailers, are also shades of black, I think, right? So it just the Amazon's
Silver and black,
overcasted.
yeah.
It's not.
I
don't know.
think
just
we can
really
say as well,
annoyed by that.
the Deviants are crap, right?
No, really. They're
I
just-
mean, design-wise,
because-
they're like, I found nothing interesting
there's
about them
no-
at all.
Yeah, there's no.
no, but also even character-wise, like for me, the deviants in the comic books had real characters, right? And each one of them had personality, and if I felt shortchanged by the fact that the deviants were these kind of, at least for the most part of
Animals.
the film, mindless, faceless.
Monsters,
Yeah.
yeah, which is
Right?
crap. It's like, if
Monsters.
they're gonna have alien, give them motivations of it. They get motivations, but that's a sucky thing as well. I think it's a weird, the MCU compresses and changes things, but it's a weird change that the Eternals in the comics and the Deviants were mutated humans. The humans were here anyway. The Celestials took them and they played around with them a bit and accidentally created the Deviants, and then on the second turn around, they made the Eternals. But the Eternals also have been around that long time, but there's other groups of Eternals. Some Eternals went to Titan and Uranus.
Yeah.
And like they had kids. Like, that's the thing. There's a very
Yeah.
big change to the whole mythology that doesn't. I don't know. I don't want to talk about. We won't talk about the post credit sequence. We'll maybe do that in another show at some other point. But there's a change that doesn't make sense with regards to how they fit other things in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can I quick question, Uma? You're better at stuff like this than I am. Is this more in line with the new Karen Gillan Eternals? Because the comic, that new comic opens up in that it opens up with this idea of new Eternals.
Yes. So the Kieran Gillen version, this kind of blends all three. So there are some characters from the Gaiman version that weren't in the Kirby version,
Right.
and the Kirby version slightly changed the origin as well from what Ian just said. So the Kirby version has the Celestials creating humans, deviants, and Eternals together
Oh, okay.
as all being citizens of Earth of sorts. But the
Right.
deviants live underground and all that
Right,
stuff.
right.
Because
right.
from reading the Marvel wiki, it was talking about like the conflict of whether or not to make new Eternals is a conflict that goes throughout the Eternals saga in a way. Because some of them
Yeah.
are like, we have this unlimited power, we should have more of us, and some of them are like, we have this unlimited power, there should be less of us.
Yeah, and then the Kirby stuff happens a lot on Earth, and then the Kieran Gillen one and the Gaiman one takes it into the cosmos a lot more. So there's so
The Gaiman
this
one is almost
closes
like
out
what
kind
the
of-
movie would have been if it wasn't for the MCU, because it's like they're amnesiac and they have to remember who they are and stuff like that.
Yes.
So it's a good
Yes.
entry point.
Which is a bit more Kieran Gillen, I think, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So so she's kind of merged all three kind of origins that or all three major storylines that we know. And I think that kind of works because you have to make it fit within the current template of the MCU anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I admire most about this film, because it's difficult. Like, she's now been tasked with saying, hey, all that 24 movies that you've seen, now we're going to introduce you to something completely different. It's not like the superheroes you know and love. It is all of these new concepts. And a part of me feels that I can only judge this movie in hindsight, almost like with Age of Ultron, because she's expected to set up at
You want
least
to see
another
what's
7
next and then
different
go back.
films.
Yeah.
And there is, I mentioned it in my explained article. I had a look. It's better format on the web than it is on my phone. But there is 12 movies this phase,
Correct. Yeah.
including
12
some of which like Fantastic Four. What else was there? There's some other like the ones that are only like mostly rumored at this point, right? So
Yeah, there's supposedly an X-Men thing coming. I don't know.
well,
Yeah.
but then I think that wasn't listed. But there was like there's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is only starting filming now and things like that. But it goes like there's a lot there, and then you also have all the TV shows, which there's an amazing amount of those as well. And
Yeah.
the one that like, even Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, or as it
Yeah.
that joke went around a blue 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 blue
Yeah.
on the poster. Like we kind of forget Kang the Conqueror is supposed to be a thing, so. We have a post-credit scene to Shang-Chi that doesn't seem to go anywhere yet. It doesn't tie into this at all. We have things happening at the end of this that are like, well, where are they going to go? Is Kang tying everything together? Is somebody else tying everything together?
Or is Marvel doing two things in Phase 4?
Yeah.
Which is also a possibility, right? Because
Yeah.
that's exactly what they did with the comics. So with the comics, there was always this idea that if you like the Earth stuff, you read the Spider-Mans and the Fantastic Four, or you can read the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Eternal stuff, which is completely out there. It's Marvel Cosmic.
And to be
all of that
fair,
stuff.
while they are long-running brands and everything else, no one really read those, right? They were never very like Guardians of the Galaxy hasn't had. I think up until the movies came out, they hadn't had a completed run of a comic. They had been always cancelled or renumbered or whatever.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think people kind of voted with their feet very much. They wanted to see it set on there.
Yeah. The new Al Ewing run on Guardians of the Galaxy is actually pretty good. But I think all of that has to do with the popularity of the movies. Like that it's been given new life, right? And I don't know what they're going to do with this Eternal story because I still haven't seen the post-credit scenes yet. I've just based it off what you guys have told me. And it feels like it's a completely different direction from the multiverse stuff that we're getting with WandaVision and Loki and like all of that.
And
don't even forget
the
we've
multiverse
got
stuff.
Falcon and
multiverse,
Winter Soldier, which is something which feels like it's something else different because it's like that's like U.S. espionage weirdness.
And
right?
I think we should say the multiverse stuff not in WandaVision. That's the point of that show was that it wasn't in any multiverse stuff in there at the end. That was it. It was only Loki has this interesting thing, and that's where Jonathan Majors will come in and he will win our hearts over all over again.
Absolutely.
Right. But yeah, I mean, they want to have these multiple threads going on. We'll see as well in 19 days, is it? We get to watch Hawkeye?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And then Spider-Man.
In a month, Spider-Man.
And, I think I put it in my list of Hawkeye things, but like the rumors are that Kingpin might turn up in Hawkeye.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
Yeah, and then Charlie Cox might be in Spider-Man because he wasn't available for Hawkeye, so they're doing it that way. Apparently. I don't know. Again, this could all be Mephisto all over again. But if you go off rumors, it could be. I mean, it would be interesting if they do develop those two levels. But there's also one of the post-credit sequences also ties into more of a different side completely from those things. It's not the street level heroes. It's not the space thing. It's something else entirely. Which that's very interesting to me in that blending because while the Guardians go do their stuff and Thor sits between fantasy and magic.
Yeah,
you don't always get everybody hanging out that way. Like Stephen Strange gets away with it because it's like cool glowy effects. No one really thinks it's magic. It's just like cool glowy effects, right? But when you're going to have a magic caster standing beside Spider-Man, science hero, and then like literally just some kind of version of Superman or whatever, it's going to be a weird mix.
Yeah. But hopefully, they pulled it off like they did. They pulled off that mix really well in Endgame, right? I mean, this idea that
there was
sci-fi stuff, but they're also using Strange's magic to kind of figure out what's happening in the future.
And what was Peter Dinklage's character again? Was he a dwarf? The giant dwarf, right?
Yes.
Oh yes, of course. The Forger.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is that kind of that I felt like more of a Kirby-esque idea, that Star Forge thing and a giant dwarf and everything. That kind of vibe is what I wanted from the Deviants because when I said them, their design was like ropes and crap. Don't do that. Literally, it's the same. It's the same as Galactus in the second Fantastic Four movie that Fox did. Just do that. I know it's going to be really, really hard and probably look goofy as fuck, but just do it. Just do the wacky fucking Kirby design shit. Like even if it doesn't look like the Celestials are a good example of that. Some of the stuff in Thor Ragnarok, like you can see people in the background who look like mini Celestials. They're wearing giant hats with big eyes and stuff on them. I mean, the Deviants are basically just gray skinned things, right? In the comics most of the time. Yeah, I mean,
no. They got purple skin. So I think the reason why they went with, I think Deviants
Evil
by
ropes.
today's standards will not be politically correct.
Mm.
Right, because they're malformed humans, right?
Mm.
And they look down upon for being malformed, and they're attacked as monsters for being malformed. But I think there could have been a clever approach to play on that as well,
Yeah.
especially if you're saying that there's this symbiotic relationship going on between the three of these these things. Yeah.
Can't we all just get along?
Yeah, but for me, the black, gray, beastie things are similar to the thunderous cloud in the sky. It's just shapeless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though you try to give it some personality towards the end.
Yeah, and it was like that whole plot line went nowhere.
No,
Absolutely
but it went nowhere, right? Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Because when it ended, I was just like,
Huh?
and then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Jolie's fucking cool, but and then? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We do have a comment.
in hindsight,
We have a comment live
Sorry?
on YouTube. Which
We
I
have a
will
comment?
We have comments. We have 2 comments from Minori-chan, who says, yes, I found that it was weird for them to censor the kissing scenes. I don't think Malaysia has done that before. Oh, Minori-chan, if only you knew. They just did it better before. They used to do it better.
no,
Like, there was...
they
No,
do, but it depends on the rating as well. So they don't censor
Yeah, I
those
think that's what it is.
kissings if it's a 15 or if it's an 18, right?
Okay.
If it's an
But
18 thing,
if
yeah.
if the studio says we want a U rating
Is this
or
a U?
a G rating or
Yeah.
whatever,
Is it G here? I didn't see the censor.
yeah,
I didn't
this
see the
This would have
Okay,
to be. I
so
think
well-
it's a Disney family.
but whatever,
thing.
if it's a non-18 rating, they will cut the season. The
Yeah.
kissing. Yeah.
Minori-chan also followed up with, the romance made me sink into my seat. I agree. The chemistry was not palpable enough, and it was... ... A bit of a snooze fest whenever it was Cersei and Ikaris scene. So, you're not alone in that. You're not alone in that.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
alone.
But my classic introduction to Malaysian censorship was lying in bed watching Braveheart, where Braveheart goes to pork the Queen and possibly Sire put his seed on the throne of England, and in the Malaysian version, he walks into the tent, the music swells, and he walks out of the tent. You don't see anything.
He hands her a thing.
Yeah.
For decades, that is how I thought babies were made.
The music goes. It's just over.
Walk out. That's it. Done. Eternals is now showing on Malaysian cinemas. It's also showing on IMAX, so you can check it out on the biggest screen possible. Let us know what you think about this film. You know how to get in touch. Social media feeds, Goggler MY, podcast at goggler.my, to email us, and hotline. You can WhatsApp us on 012-524-5208.
You have to come up with
Next
a snappy, like, spelling out the letters for that number.
How do you even get one of those numbers?
No, you just
Right
it's
now,
like,
right now, I think it just spells gibberish.
No. In that, you say it out like
1-800 lawyer.
Yeah. There's got to be. There's only 3 letter options per number, so we just got to find one that fits. So this is their homework
All right,
for next
all right.
week.
Okay,
That is
go,
fine.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
try and do that. I'm sure there's an AI thing online, right? That you just enter a
You
bunch
can
of.
spell out stuff, so
Probably,
we
yeah.
don't have to go through all the
Cool.
combinations.
Yeah.
Also, next week, I am going to try and convince Bahir to watch the new Rajinikanth movie with me.
The which movie?
Rajinikanth, Tamil movie.
Oh,
I think Ian should go.
when's that one?
Hey.
Did we get an invite for that one?
Just came out. No,
Oh.
they
It's out in
don't
cinema.
do presses, but
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
it's very rare that they do presses. But I've had friends who have seen it already and say it's incredible. So the superstar is back.
I think I heard someone talking about it. So yeah, we have a busy
all
week
right,
this week, I think, don't we?
Do we?
Don't we always have busy
Oh.
weeks?
Actually, yeah, we might have Bond.
Is it this week, or isn't there some Carnage coming up soon?
I think we missed Carnage.
I think we missed Carnage.
How do we
Dude,
miss? When was,
I,
what?
I
I
think it was on
believe
Friday.
that press
I think it was
screening was on
yesterday.
Friday.
I thought something else was yesterday.
I think no, we missed
no.
it. Yeah.
We're going to be watching, I think this coming week. Actually, we've got some fun movies that we're going to review next week, actually, which is the Anita Mui biopic, which I'm really looking forward to.
Oh
because
shit, that was Friday.
it was-
Yeah.
yeah, so because Anita Mui is fucking iconic. We've got Venom, which comes out next week. We'll catch it on a regular screening before we talk about it.
No kissing.
And Bond as well. We've got our press preview, but the movie only comes out at the end of the month. But there's no embargo on the review, so we can talk about it, tell you how awesome it might be, and why you should wait to watch it in cinemas. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. This has been the Goggler Podcast.
It's like just have Daniel Craig saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend."